welcome back to F.A.C.E, bro. How are you? I'm glad you could make it, and it looks like you were able to do it on a device. Hi, Miad.
How are you, Dale? Thanks for having me again. Hi, everybody. Hi, K-Man. Hi, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hi, Miad. You all right?
I'm all right. Cheers. Man, it is absolutely scorcher today. I'm not built for this weather.
Do you have air conditioning, Miad, at your house?
Yeah, well, I'm not at the house. I'm at the office, and we don't have that here. No, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. So you're feeling the heat of the day. How about the heat of the markets? Are you able to share your screen and kind of give us some looks of what you're thinking
unfortunately, due to the fact that I tried to message you earlier, I have some complications with the iMac currently, so I wasn't able to repair that. So I had to jump in with my phone.
Why don't I just bounce around a few charts and
please do
tell me what you're thinking? I mean, the major thing is ECB this week.
It is indeed.
You think that we're going to recapture 103.5, and this will then look like a false breakdown and perhaps a new uptrend developing in Euro?
Well, I think that would surprise absolutely everybody from a macro sphere. If you look at a big picture, it's that cheap. We didn't have Euro this cheap since I've started trading, and when you go looking back in your charts, you really have to zoom out. Yeah. Some brokers don't even show you
20 years ago, what were you? 5?
Good try.
In the kindergarten. Anyway, I was getting my first Social Security check. So anyway, so you think it'll surprise you? You know, the DSI numbers have been real one-sided. I mean, readings under 10, meaning 90% bears in Euro. Could this just be some short covering in front of the ECB because people are talking about the possibility of a 50% hike?
To me, it is. To me, it seems like market is pricing a bit more bullishness from the ECB. But big picture, what I have on my mind, I think everybody else is thinking, the problem with energy isn't resolved just yet. That's what really wasn't helping Europe. Oil prices went up too high. The gas supplies are really dwindling. And we're possibly going into the winter where it's short of supply. That's not really helping. The charts made the rounds where German surplus dwindled and German trade surplus actually turned negative at some point. So all of the things that was good for Europe and the Euro all of a sudden isn't there anymore. And for me, it doesn't really mean, I think like we have this rainbow pattern where it goes up and it peaks and then just comes down and down without any end. I think one handle
you're still long-term bearish. You have any downside targets? You like
I like
of 80?
Yeah, I like 96 initial target. 80 sounds good as well.
96. Okay.
I'm really more. I'm gonna change my stance on dollar or Euro USD once I see the Fed changes it as well. Right now they're in an environment where they are really tightening, and they really don't want the liquidity that far around. So that's my thinking with it. Initial targets I had, I was actually 120. So once it then rapidly broke past that, obviously parity wasn't far away. Quite the move, again, very historic. I was watching it I think it was Monday morning, it finally broke parity. We all on Twitter, we're glued to our screens like we're watching some historic moment. It was incredible.
The parity guys had it for about an hour. So, that's your view on Euro. Anything different in cable? And let me just kind of show you this formation I have. I think Ellioticians would call this an ending diagonal. I call it 3 drives to a bottom. It's trying to come out of here. You have any different view on the UK?
On the cable? UK, and again, the level in a 3 drive, they're very effective. It will give you the bounce. I'm quite confident it will, specifically as it's so stretched and oversold. But I still have 160 on the docket for the cable. The leadership challenge.
Miad?
Yeah, that's 1.16, 116.
Okay, got it.
In the UK, I mustn't have escaped you. We have the leadership challenge, and we're not sure which leader will actually cut taxes, which one won't. There's a technical difficulty of actually cutting tax if you even go into office. So there's a bit of a push and pull into that. Cable has got you might have seen this in 2014 and 15 before they even had that Brexit call coming up. Cable has the nature of going to the different wrong direction for longer than anybody can stay solvent before actually going where it's supposed to go. So I remember, I think it was 2015, around summertime. Back then, David Cameron said, okay, we're going to have a Brexit vote the following year. Cable went down 50, 60 pips, and then straight 300-400 pips just went up. And then from there on, there was no turning back. Straight 3,000 pip dive. So you tend to see that in cable quite a lot.
Yeah, so if you could see my charts, a pretty big range here. It looks like this would be new historic lows, wouldn't it? If we took out 114.
One of the better things with the UK is the energy crisis is a bit more contained, much smaller country, obviously, than Europe. Plus, we get loads of gas from Norway. What Norway does, they just take up the prices. They still be able to supply UK, as far as I can see. They're just charging more. But with Europe, there's going to be possibly the issue where they won't be even able to get the supply in time, which is obviously a different challenge altogether.
And some of the commodity currencies, Aussie had a much better structure on the weekly. This is a corrective. This is actually a monthly, and compared to the euro, where it took, making new lows. So the Aussie looked more like corrective, and it's trying to turn higher on the month. And we've, we're back inside of this wedge. Any view on this? Could the commodity currencies be the precursor for a top in the dollar if they follow through to the upside and break out? Aussie and USD CAD was rejected pretty good over 131. Shook out a lot of bears. You have a different view on commodity currencies?
I think in the short term, the way that copper is moving is really helping the entire commodity complex. China is really helping a lot with what they're doing with infrastructure. They're trying to build bridges everywhere. Whether they use them or not, it's really indifferent. But they are spending. That's obviously helping Australia quite a lot. Big picture, me and you, we tend to look at the ISM numbers to gauge what the business cycle we are in, and it's not getting stronger. So if Aussie builds a 500-600 pip rally from here, I'd be extremely surprised. I understand why it bounced. I fully get it. I'm fully supported in it. But if this starting turning into a trend, I'd be hugely surprised, considering that we are actually in a slowing economic cycle. And the question is now, recession this year or next year? This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about a rebound. So I'd be very surprised if it ends up building on this beyond September.
Is the Fed going to go full percent next week? I think is the Fed meeting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Next. Right. We're going to 1% move. I think they can do it. Whether they do it or not is going to be more dependent if they get the entire vote on. I think they will do it, but I think the vote might possibly not be fully unanimous, which could cause the dollar to wobble a lot if it's not unanimous. But I think they will do it. They will very likely do it in this environment. They do this every single before we head into a recession. They just drive up those interest rates so they can cut it again from a higher level. Plus, with the way inflation is going, it makes much more sense to have that cushion, I should say.
Okay, do you think the BOJ is, we're starting to come off a little bit marginally compared to the huge run? I mean, this was the move of the year.
It was incredible. I love it.
What do you do with it here? I mean, do you try and top pick this thing, or you just wait to buy a pullback in US dollar yen?
Yeah, I think that's the direction I'm headed. I preferred more upside. I think 140 for me, from a technical perspective, was kind of, this is where level you want to reach. And beyond that, but I still don't think that's the end, because the same policy that is causing yen to weaken, the same policy is still getting implemented. And I haven't seen them budging. They're not budging. Their CPI isn't picking up for them enough to budge, if that makes sense. I don't know how Japanese inflation isn't picking up with oil prices this high, but somehow they manage not to have any inflation in that country. Kudos to them. But it also means the Bank of Japan will fully support the yield curve targeting. So they keep printing really yen to just buy the government debt, and that's causing yen to weaken quite a lot.
Do you think they're getting concerned about these levels and consider an intervention just to, buy time?
Yeah. In my experience, they talk about intervention, but they only do intervention when there's one or two drivers behind them. So what could actually help yen here? There's two things that can help yen from a market perspective. I don't think they will ever fight the market in terms of intervention when the market is aggressively selling. I don't think they will start buying into that. I think they will wait until the market is extremely vulnerable, very stretched on the end positioning. They will wait until yields come down at least 2 or 3%. I'm talking about US yields, maybe 100,
Yeah, here's the
150
10-year,
points.
right? Here's the 10-year, buddy, if you could see
Here's
it.
the 10-year. So I will think that we're going to wait for the 10-year to kind of top out, start rearing and coming back down. They will wait till the end position gets extremely one-sided, and then if they ever intervene, it's going to be at that point, and they're going to get connected with other central banks as well. So it has its maximum effect. I don't think they're going to go in there on their own and start supporting the yen. I don't think that's going to be.
They would need the Fed.
They want the Fed, and they want to be. If they do it, they want to do it properly.
Right.
If you remember, some very similar we had. Now I'm diverging, but it's a different market in the oil market. So oil was going higher and higher, and then the U.S. government talked about releasing some of the SPR, and they kept talking about it. And oil kept going higher. Eventually, market forces even out, and oil came down good 15, 20 quid, $20 on the barrel. And then all of a sudden they announced the SPR release. Oil was already coming down, and then it came down another $30 or $40. That's what they tried to do. They tried to get on that momentum and then just use that instead of just trying to fight it all on their own.
Knowing that you're looking for some recession, whether it's this year or next year, are you still bearish S&Ps, or do you think they're going to squeeze some shorts between now and the fall?
Mm-hmm. S&P 500, funny enough, I'm bullish at this point. We had 20% bear market. I've started adding to, and now that's with trading without the stop loss, because that's the portfolio. I've started adding the S&P 500s again. The only bad thing for me as a UK investor is buying S&P 500. My currency depreciated quite a lot. So a few months ago, I could buy $1, a pound. For $1, I would get 120, 130 just a few months ago, and that kind of crashed. So I'm getting less stocks for my money now, but long term I really like it here. 20% is good. Can it drop another 5% maybe? But we like S&P 500 around these levels for upside. Love it a lot, actually.
How about new highs, buddy, by this year? Could that happen?
Maybe we get a Santa rally. And a lot of people will come out there. A lot of people will come out and say, well, all of these other currencies, they kind of that they're moving in tandem with S&P 500. And you're right. You're right. It's just the magnitude. I think S&P 500 can go upside is way more than any FX pair will able to relinquish as well. So
but it would welcome a weaker dollar, don't you believe? The market would. I mean, they're talking about the currency translation on the multinationals hurting earnings. So that would be a tailwind for it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
certainly exciting times.
What are you telling your metalheads that are very disappointed with what's been happening in gold and silver? What are you telling them?
I think you want that recession to really start biting, where it's a point of no return. Then that's where you're going to see a gold bit coming back in. But we're not at that stage yet. We're still at this stage. Are we 2 quarters away? At any point, we're still 2 quarters away from a recession. I think you want to be at a point where we're a month away, and that's when that's worth buying back into gold. Until then, I don't see a bottom for it. It can easily crack 16, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to show your website now, buddy. So this is where you could get a hold of me at, and you have any kind of trials that people could check out your stuff. I know you've been a fixture in the FinTwit world, gosh, for as long as I've been around using it. So here's Miad. He has
so what I do, Dale, and everybody's listening in, I've started this in 2017, mainly because I felt like there's not enough people explaining why these bigger moves happen in the FX market. How can you get positioned? And sometimes even on a daily basis, we got sentiment driving, 20, 30 pips, you can make use of that. That's what I do. So I have a chat room where day to day I explain things and why things move, and I also actually share live my trades, how I trade them, with the stop loss, with the positioning, sometimes how to add to the position, sometimes why I should cut the position, talk a little about psychology, and just try to marry these together. Most recently, because FX volatility hasn't been that favorable, I've added Bitcoin as well. I really like it because of the volatility. There's always something moving in there. So I've added that as well. Not too much macro analysis on Bitcoin, mostly about level play. But again, it's whatever brings in that income, and I try to instill that. A lot of people are still on the edge if they want to go full-time trading or not. They're going to see a lot of use out of my service because I really explained the steps I took to get into it, and also how to build, a 6-month cushion of income. So when you have a bad month, you're not going to be afraid of things. So that's mostly what I discuss. I'm looking forward to meet all of you.
People ask me, Dale, can I trade for a living with 10K? And I say yes if you want to live beneath an underpass. So
for
anyway,
sure.
It was great having you, bro.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
I hope you have a great summer, and next time, we could see your technical work because it's elite. It's good stuff, and that I and ForexAnalytix, all the guys, we all root for you, and good hunting the rest of the summer, and I'll get a hold of you on Twitter, and we could get back together in the fall. How's that sound?
I love it. Again, thanks everybody for having me today. Incredible community. Love the work you do, Dale. Known you for years, and you're just getting stronger every time.
You're hired. All right, bud.
Thanks,
my trading warrior brother, Miad. So that's a wrap.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that's a wrap, and you could join the team for the morning edge in 20 minutes. And remember, the difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose so they have money left to be right with. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Miad, great talking to you, buddy.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.